We are on the afternoon break in the questioning of Mike Dell, the former Detective Chief Inspector of the Special Demonstration Squad between July 2001 and May 2005. I am not alone. I am joined off screen by Alison from Police Spies Out of Lives.
Hello, Tom.
Hello. We've been listening to more questions from Mike Dell. A lot of it has centered. We started off with some stuff about Jason Bishop and his involvement in the Disarm Dicey campaign. And then it went and looked at Carlos Saraki and the discrepancy between what Carlos Saraki said to the inquiry and what Mike Dell is now currently claiming in terms of when he knew that Carlos Saraki was in a relationship, how many women who Carlos Saraki confessed to deceiving, and the actions that Mike Dell did or rather didn't take in terms of monitoring him, particularly with the authorizations, these trips to Italy. Yeah. What have you made of what he's had to say?
Well, if I'm honest,
please.
I've struggled to keep awake after lunch. I can't bear him.
He's awful, yes.
I really can't bear him. And I thought at the beginning when I first I missed some of yesterday. I thought, oh, well, at least he sort of speaks. At least he speaks.
Yes, it's a low bar.
It's a very low bar, but he does say stuff. But actually, he's so smug. He keeps saying, well, I felt smug back then when he worked out about Thompson. But he's so smug and he's so self-satisfied and self-congratulatory and so unable. I mean, I don't know what. I'm not surprised, but just it's another one who just doesn't reflect honestly on anything. And when asked about Steve Beals,
Steve Beals, a detective constable,
being in Italy with Lindsay and or Donna, right? Was he with both of them?
So there was
just with Lindsay.
So he was on the first trip to which was supposedly to Venice, Verona, and Treviso to meet activists, but in fact was just to Venice on a romantic trip with Lindsay. He was the cover officer on that trip, and I think he was the cover officer on the second trip as well.
I thought he was as well. Yeah,
so that was to Florence.
And when he's asked a question about it, he does what Lambert does a bit. Actually, he just answers something else.
Yes.
So he was asked like, well. Sarah Hemingway gave Lindsay's evidence that Carlo took a phone call and he went off to take a 5-minute phone call, and then she came back to his side and she heard him say, yeah, she's a bit pissed off, and she interpreted that as him speaking afterwards when it all came out, speaking to his handler. And then Dell goes on, starts talking about Man City. Yeah, like, what we do is say we're going to phone them, talk about the football, and then they're going to say to their target, no, that was just my mate phoning about my season ticket at Man City. What's that got to do with anything? That was not what you were asked. And by the time they've answered that, the actual question sometimes gets a bit lost. So, I mean, and the idea as well that, that this unit were not aware that this had been going on for years is not credible at all. And the idea, and then he says the other thing he says, and I'm compared to you and compared to Helen and the lawyers, I'm barely listening. Do you know what I mean? I'm barely listening. And yet even I have noticed that earlier on, or yesterday or this morning, God knows when, he said something about it was too expensive to have surveillance on Thompson, because they were asking, look, you were watching Thompson because you think he was doing something dodgy with this scam, Operation Lime. Why weren't you watching him to see if he was having a relationship? Why didn't you see that? No, we couldn't. It would have been too intrusive. We couldn't have put surveillance on our officers. And now he's just said, well, we're special branch. It's what our day job is. I mean, we can survey anyone. But I believe them, so I didn't do that. We can't have it both ways. You either can survey people or you can't survey people. And the only other bit that I've really liked is liked. Yeah, liked. Because I haven't understood half of what he's talking about. Operation Lime, I think I did tweet this. Operation Lime was like watching Line of Duty. I don't know what they were talking about half the time. It's like Gail Vella. Who's who? What's happened? I didn't follow any of that. Found that. Anyway, the lawyers have explained it to me in the interval. But no, the idea that the database collated by Special Branch, with the example of Emily Apple, was so that if you were arrested, they can see that you've got a child, and then they can tell the arresting officer, go in there later in the day, not when she's feeding the child. What are you talking about?
Quite insane. I mean, it was. I mean, that was a particular bit where we were shown the Jason Bishop's report about the birth of Emily Apple's child. It records the name of the child, the date of birth. And he said, "Oh, this was a mistake. This was a mistake to be recorded." And so, well, would this count as, sort of the realities of life that would go into a file? Oh, yes, probably. And it's like he'd said it was incorrect. It shouldn't have been recorded. Yet then he went on to justify it. Unnecessary, but I mean, he found it so difficult to admit that he was wrong about something.
Nothing he's been wrong about. Well, having said that, I think because he did talk earlier on about. He couldn't make a judgment about something because he wasn't able to see the overall strategy. So this is somebody, it seems to me, who likes to consider himself a strategic thinker. And he's watched a lot of the inquiry. He'd seen that image of Thompson later with Tony Blair. He's obviously followed some of, maybe you're following now. Later, Mike. Maybe you'll be following this later. Hi. But you're
coming across really badly, by the way.
But he's obviously a strategist. He thinks of himself as a strategist. And his strategy, I think, has been, I'll be the fall guy for the incompetence. I'm gonna claim at best, accuse me of incompetence. It's cock up, not conspiracy. And that's his position. That's his strategy, which is, it's not great from his point of view. It doesn't look great, but it's not as bad as it could be. It's not like proper sinister cover up. And the truth is, I think, that it's both.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he's tried to take some sort of moral position, so it's somehow sort of ethical. He's used terms like informed consent and bodily autonomy, but only in relation to the activists, not the members of the public, of course.
Yeah, not the person on the horticultural course.
Yes, I mean, insane.
I mean, absolutely. Totally, he's trying to take the moral high ground and say he's made mistakes and really go on and on about the one thing that he did do, which he's very proud of, which was to recognise that Thompson was a wrong un. And he keeps talking about these excellent officers. I'd quite like to know who he means. He obviously means HN3. Jason Bishop is obviously one of his excellent ones.
Well, then he wanted to end his deployment early. So
right, and Jackie Anderson,
who he's got loads of problems with, but
so she wasn't so excellent.
So, but I mean, all we've got is the other officers. The 3 ethnic minority officers he spoke about yesterday, the other closed officers that we're not allowed to know about.
They were all excellent.
We can only presume.
How does he know? Because he doesn't know. He thought the other ones were excellent until we pointed out that they weren't.
Well, quite. Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the few things he did. He admitted he might have been mistaken on, which was the only time he actually said it. He admitted he was mistaken. Was finally after about 5 or 6 times of asking that, where he suggested that Emily Apple's evidence to the for her arrest at the Grosvenor Hotel was fabricated. And he said, "Oh, well, it was fabricated. She was saying that she wasn't guilty." And it took him a long time to go, and there's no suggestion from anybody, including the undercover officer, that there was anything fabricated. And he said, "Well, he might have been mistaken." But I mean, that was like getting blood from a stone. And I nearly fainted when he admitted it.
Yeah, I think that might have been the bit where I had my head on the desk at the back of the class.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and also, I mean, it is. Somebody said to me a while ago about this, and it is coming to fruition. The most interesting bits will be, and now are, that tension between what the officers say and what the managers say, and throwing each other under that bus as fast as they can. Yeah. And then sometimes, like, I mean, I don't know the extent to which this is conspiracy or cock up. But like, even with flattery, that doesn't help them either. So when he said like HM53, who's coming in a couple of weeks' time, got filing cabinet memory. Oh, great. Come on then, bring him in. I'm looking forward to Spycott's bingo with that one.
Yes, yeah, very much. Yeah. I mean, you can imagine him at home being like, "Oh my God, Mike, why have you done this to me?"
Yeah. And also Stephen Beals, who he knows very well.
Yeah, excellent. He'll know all the answers.
I know him very well. Yeah, very good officer. So, okay, you know each other very well. Let's see what you talked about then.
Let's find out what is it. That'll be Thursday, so there's not long to wait for him. He did say that he thought that Carlos Saraki's deployment was as fictional as James Thompson's now.
Difference was he liked Saraki.
Yeah. I mean,
and he called him a liar.
He did repeatedly, straight out called him a liar. None of this messing around. I was like, oh,
that's what I mean by throwing each other under the bus.
Yeah, very much. It's only a short break. We should probably head back in. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
They're all a bunch of bastards. That's what I'd like to add.
Correct analysis, comrade. We've got a couple of comments here from Mr. Abney. The broadcast was suspended. Has a restriction order been made? Yes. Sorry, I should have said at the start. There was a restriction order made just before we went into the break. I can't tell you what it's about. Very infuriatingly. Yeah. I mean, I don't know as it will be upheld. We only got a temporary restriction order. It might be rescinded when we go back in. Another comment. I don't get the logic of all what he will and won't concede. Like Alison said, he thinks he's strategic shit, but this is just falling apart under questioning. He is a human AI summary.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that no one's asked on the chat, but really I need to mention,
please.
The Wolf of Truth is in the other room, and he hasn't come in here today.
Gutted, eh? No, I won't have any of the dolls on screen.
They're not dolls. They're not puppets. They're not dolls.
They're your friends.
My friends, yes.
Thanks for joining us. There's 33 people watching. No one has liked this video. Please like it. It would make a huge difference.
Rude.